Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. I was in a car accident on the way to the hospital for my prenatal checkup. In a panic, I called my husband, Marcus. His college friend was a chief physician at the hospital. With just one call from him, the hospital could grant me expedited medical access, but he hung up on me 3 times in a row, then impatiently sent a voice message. "Grace, what do you want? Tiffany is seriously injured and hospitalized right now. Can't you just let me quietly be with her for a while?" Clutching my severely aching lower abdomen, I weakly sent him a voice message. "Marcus, I was in a car accident and my stomach hurts terribly. I'm afraid the baby might be in danger." The message was sent, but the recipient blocked it. Staring at the bright red exclamation mark on the screen, I realized Marcus had blocked me. For hours later, having narrowly escaped death, I was wheeled out of the operating room. I had miraculously clung to life, but the doctor told me I had lost the baby. I stared blankly at the hospital room ceiling, my hands instinctively resting on my lower abdomen as 2 lines of silent tears uncontrollably streamed from the corners of my eyes. Marcus's idealized past love updated her social media post. In the video, she and Marcus were having a candlelight dinner, and Marcus was gently kissing her forehead. The caption read, "I accidentally cut my hand while chopping vegetables today. My brother immediately rushed me to the hospital full of concern. The happiest thing in the world is having you by my side." But their happiness felt incredibly jarring to me. The sound of their laughter on the screen seemed to pierce my eardrums. After a 7-year relationship, I suddenly felt weary. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us where you're listening from in the comments. I was discharged the next day. The doctor said my body was weak from the miscarriage and I needed at least 7 days to recover. I took time off from the company and rested at home. Returning home, looking at the familiar layout, I felt a sense of unreality, as if I had been away for ages. The changes of the past 2 days had made me see many things clearly. Re-examining this relationship now, I suddenly realized that for most of its 7 years, it was I who constantly compromised. Because I loved Marcus, I repeatedly backed down. Losing the baby became the final straw that broke me. The baby was gone, and I no longer wanted Marcus either. I planned to find a place and move out, then formally ask Marcus for a divorce. 10 o'clock at night. I had just finished my evening routine and was about to go to bed when Marcus pushed the door open and returned. His face was alight with joy. He seemed to be in a very good mood. Seeing me gently wiping tears from my face, he finally snapped back to reality and remembered I was pregnant. He seemed a little flustered, asking me softly, "Honey, are you feeling unwell today? Does your stomach hurt?" His gaze, however, didn't linger for a second on my already empty lower abdomen. It didn't matter anymore. My forehead rested against the glass, my tears long since dried. He suddenly remembered something. His voice filled with apology. "Honey, I didn't answer your calls earlier today because something really important came up. You wouldn't believe it. Tiffany accidentally cut her finger while chopping vegetables and the injury is quite serious." An injury deemed serious from a cut finger. I suddenly felt like laughing. But when Marcus instinctively reached out to hug me, I just felt a sudden wave of nausea and desperately pushed his hand away. "Don't touch me and don't call me honey anymore." He instinctively wanted to flare up but held back, letting me vent. He even carried me back to the bedroom himself. "Grace, drink some water." Seeing that I was still turned away, not sparing him a glance, Marcus finally grew impatient. "I just didn't answer a few of your calls today, and you're like this. You never used to be so petty, always holding on to little things like this." He was about to say something else when his phone suddenly rang twice. Seeing the message, his expression changed and a smile appeared at the corner of his lips. But when he spoke to me, his tone was still icy. "Since you're like this, you can sleep here alone tonight. I'll go to the guest room. And it's just my mom's goddaughter. If there was anything between us, it would have happened ages ago. There wouldn't be any room for you. Stop imagining things." I had heard Marcus say that countless times. In the past, I would have had a huge fight with him, but now I was numb. I just nodded mechanically, indicating I understood. Marcus hadn't expected my reaction to be so flat and felt a strange flicker of unease. He leaned closer to me, patiently explaining, Gracie, I've known Tiffany longer than we've been dating. I truly just see her as a sister. Besides, I'm married to you. What more could you want? I quietly looked at Marcus as if I had never truly understood the man before me. His condescending tone made it sound as if marrying me was an act of charity. A mix of emotions swirled in my heart as I steadily gazed at the man in front of me. After a long pause, I heard my own voice. No more. Let's get a divorce. Saying those words, I actually felt a significant weight lift off my shoulders. Grace, what did you say? Marcus' face was filled with disbelief. In our 6 years together, most arguments started with him throwing a tantrum and breaking things, and ended with me humbly trying to soothe him. But no matter how much we fought, we had a tacit understanding to never mention divorce. Grace, what exactly are you trying to do? We've been married for 7 years, and you're about to become a mother. Can't you be more sensible? Marcus looked at me impatiently. He knew how much I loved him and never thought I would actually be willing to divorce him. He believed I was just throwing a tantrum by mentioning it. I didn't. Before I could finish, Marcus' phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and answered it casually. Marcus, the wind on the rooftop is so strong, and I feel so terrible. Marcus and I were very close, and I heard Tiffany's syrupy voice clearly from the phone. Tiffany, don't cry yet. Tell me where you are. I'll come find you right away, Marcus said, putting on his coat, preparing to leave. Marcus reached the door, then turned and said to me, I don't have the energy to coddle you every day. Think this through. You're pregnant right now and you want a divorce? A woman with baggage and a child. Who would want you? With that, he slammed the door shut. I watched Marcus's retreating figure, feeling like a complete joke. In our 7 years of marriage, he had never once tried to comfort me, yet because another woman was upset, he rushed out late at night to console her. That night, Marcus stayed out all night. The next day, I started packing my luggage. Aside from essential items, everything related to Marcus was tossed out. Matching outfits, matching necklaces, an instant camera, stuffed animals from the mall. All items holding memories of Marcus were thrown into a large bag. While clearing these things, I suddenly realized that most of my belongings were connected to Marcus. The items to be discarded filled 4 heavy-duty bags. The things I was taking with me only filled 2 storage bins. It took me 5 full days to clear out the house, but I had made up my mind. From now on, my memories would no longer contain anything related to Marcus. During these 5 days, Marcus never came home once. There were no messages on my phone either. Through social media updates, I learned about Marcus's every move these past few days. He took her to the amusement park, peeled shrimp for her, and played kissing games with her. Every time Tiffany posted a new update, she would specifically message me privately, even sending ambiguous photos and videos of them. Watching the screen full of provocations, I no longer felt the slightest interest. Marcus bought Tiffany everything she wanted. Matching wedding bands, a necklace, earrings, etc., all clearly very expensive. I looked at my somewhat rough hands. Since I had been with Marcus, I had gradually become a stay-at-home wife. Years had already worn me down. When my successful senior classmates who had long since graduated asked me why I didn't continue to pursue higher education, I could only offer an awkward smile each time. Now, thinking back, I realized that during all those years with Marcus, I had completely let myself go. After choosing a relatively inexpensive house on the outskirts, I made arrangements with the landlord to view the property tomorrow. If it was suitable, I could move in tomorrow. That evening, Marcus returned. Seeing the 2 suitcases on the floor, his face darkened. Gracie, are you really leaving? Marcus seemed to realize his staying out all night these past few days had been excessive and asked me guiltily. I nodded. Seeing my calm reaction, a strange sense of crisis welled up in Marcus. He moved closer to me, carefully embraced me and gently said, Gracie, please don't be angry anymore, okay? Tiffany is just my sister. If you're unhappy, once she feels a bit better, I won't see her again. I looked up and happened to see a bright red lipstick stain on his collar. A wave of disgust washed over me. I broke free from his embrace and said coldly, No need. I wish you both happiness. Marcus stumbled back from my push and also grew impatient. Grace, how long are you going to keep this up? In past arguments, as long as Marcus' attitude softened even a little, I would manage to calm myself down. This time, Marcus had made a rare promise, Yet I was still giving him the cold shoulder, so he stopped pretending. Just give me a straight answer. Are you serious about getting a divorce? I silently looked at Marcus, his indulgence, and Tiffany. Wise provocations flashed through my mind. But in the end, I didn't tell Marcus about those ambiguous photos and videos. Even if I did, he would have countless excuses to justify himself. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him, so I just turned and went back to the bedroom. Marcus, still fuming, followed me into the bedroom and continued to vent. Grace, can you stop being so cold-hearted? Tiffany is my sister. Her boyfriend hurt her, and I've just been taking her out to clear her head these past few days. I came straight back after comforting her. I truly don't know what you're making such a fuss about. Next is our 7th wedding anniversary. I've already booked the restaurant. I'm going to give you and the baby a surprise. Please stop being angry, okay? Hearing his words, tears of anger welled up in my eyes. I couldn't forget that when I was in a car accident, he hung up on me 3 times, which led to me losing the baby. And now he stood there as if doing me a favor, still wanting to give the baby a surprise. I glared at him and said coldly, I terminated the pregnancy. Let's get divorced as soon as possible, and please don't bother me again. Grace, what did you say? You terminated the pregnancy? Marcus looked at my stomach in shock. Do you know what you're saying? Marcus' emotions spiraled out of control and he yelled at me. Before, when I suggested you terminate, you said the baby was fate and we'd been married for 7 years. Now that you've finally gotten what you wished for, you're telling me you terminated the pregnancy? You must be joking. That's the child you worked so hard for all these years, drinking traditional remedies and alternative treatments, enduring all those ovulation shots. How could you just say you don't want it? Hearing his furious words, my heart bled. Indeed, for years, I had tried various traditional remedies and alternative treatments to get pregnant. I had even undergone many fertility injections at the hospital. Now I finally realized that it was my own insecurity that made me want to use marriage and a child to keep him tied down to give myself a sense of security. Back then, I had even foolishly asked him if he would love me more if I got pregnant. I just never imagined that when I felt my years of love were finally reaching a happy conclusion, the car accident happened. My first reaction was that I absolutely had to save this child. Nothing could happen to my baby. But the calls I made to Marcus in that moment of crisis were hung up on again and again. Eventually, he even blocked me. When I woke up from my coma in the hospital and learned the baby was gone, I didn't feel the sadness I'd anticipated. Instead, I felt a significant sense of relief. I had been too fixated on having a family with Marcus, and in doing so, I had trapped myself. The moment I let go of that obsession, I felt a lightness and peace I had never experienced before. I was sorry for my child and sorry for myself, but I had a clear conscience towards Marcus and our relationship. Even if we divorced, I felt no guilt towards Marcus. You're still just throwing a tantrum trying to trick me, right? Marcus looked at my lower abdomen, hope still in his eyes. I'm telling you, my patience has limits. Don't think I'll tolerate you endlessly just because you're pregnant. If you really push me too far, I won't acknowledge the child even if you give birth to it. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Marcus shamelessly started making cruel remarks. He was always like this, saying the most heartless remarks when he was angry. Before, I was always hurt by his cruel words, crying silently to myself. But now that I no longer loved him, he couldn't hurt me anymore. Marcus was about to say something else when his phone buzzed. He picked it up, glanced at it, and his expression suddenly changed. Next morning is our 7th anniversary. Make sure you come. Don't ever try to threaten me with the baby again or I really will leave you, Marcus said, then walked away without looking back. Watching his retreating figure, a bitter feeling spread through my heart. How could he possibly think that I would continue to love him when he was so heartless towards me? That night, I didn't fall asleep until very late. The next day, I went to look at the new house on the outskirts. I was very pleased with the house. The landlord said he had bought the house for his son's wedding, but his son was now settled overseas. So, he decided to sell it, hoping I would take good care of the property. I happily agreed, signed the contract on the spot, and then called a moving service to have the driver move my belongings over. That evening I had just finished settling into my new home, and was about to shower when I suddenly received a call from an unknown number. I answered it, confused, and from the other end came Marcus's voice. Baby, you smell so good. Oh, stop it, Marcus. You're so naughty, I replied, immediately followed by Tiffany's voice. Her syrupy voice was accompanied by heavy breathing. How was that? Are you happy? Didn't my brother like me in black lingerie? I specifically brought them today. Marcus, don't rush. I instantly realized what those sounds were and felt a wave of disgust like I'd swallowed a fly. I immediately hung up the phone. My vacation was over and I was preparing to return to work at the company. As soon as I arrived, I learned that Ethan from the Lou would be inspecting our company. My company was an automotive manufacturer, and the Lou was a leading enterprise in the automotive industry. I had spent 6 months convincing Lou to invest in our company. The partnership was established a month ago, and Lou's first investment was $800 million. I just hadn't expected Ethan to suddenly come for an inspection in the morning. Even more unexpectedly, Tiffany came with Ethan. She had somehow become Ethan's secretary. As the primary person in charge of this project, I naturally had to step forward and lead the meeting. When facing Tiffany, I maintained a normal expression and extremely high professional standards. Ethan was very satisfied with our company. During the lunch break, I went to the break room to get some hot water, and Tiffany followed me in. Seeing that it was just the two of us in the break room, she spoke slowly. Why did you hang up on me that day when I called you? Did I sound better than you? Tiffany looked at me provocatively. I have rather particular tastes. I never watch free adult films. I spat out the words and prepared to leave. Tiffany blocked the doorway, preventing me from leaving, and continued. I heard Marcus dumped you, and the baby you were carrying became a bastard. What are you going to do? Watch your mouth. I didn't want to get further entangled with Tiffany and tried to squeeze past her. But to my surprise, Tiffany suddenly pulled me and then directly splashed the scalding hot water onto me. Then she shrieked, Grace, what did I ever do to you that you would splash such hot water on me? Her voice immediately drew everyone's attention in the company. Countless people rushed to the break room. Under the scrutinizing gazes of the crowd, Tiffany raised her red arm, looking on the verge of tears, and said pitifully, Vice Song, my husband and I are truly innocent. It's understandable if you're angry, and I deserve it if you splash me with such hot water. As long as it makes you feel better, I'll even take 2 more splashes. I stared at Tiffany in shock. Her ability to change her expression so quickly was truly unmatched by ordinary people. Vice Song, do you have a problem with my people? Ethan stood in the middle of the crowd supporting Tiffany. Grace, what happened? He looked at me anxious and angry. He was afraid that if Ethan got upset, the agreed-upon investment would be cancelled. I clutched my lower abdomen, which was now burning from the scalding hot water, and frowned. Boss, Mr. Ethan, there are surveillance cameras in the break room. Why don't we check the footage and see what really happened? Ethan both agreed immediately. Checking surveillance footage is such a hassle. It's okay if I suffer a little wrong. Don't let it affect our cooperation. Tiffany spoke in a panic. What she did was purely spontaneous. She hadn't even thought about the surveillance cameras. She was afraid that our conflict would affect the agreed-upon cooperation. Ethan also wanted to know if I was intentionally disrespecting him. So no one listened to Tiffany. Everyone headed to the security room. On the way to the security room, Tiffany took a photo of her swollen arm for Marcus and typed, I ran into sister at the company. What she did was understandable. I deserved it. Ethan's face turned as dark as charcoal as he watched the surveillance footage. Tiffany, you don't need to come to work tomorrow. Furthermore, regarding the cooperation between our 2 companies, I will establish a dedicated new company when I return, and this new company will be entirely managed by Grace from now on. Ethan's words essentially concluded the matter of this incident. Enough! How dare so many of you bully Tiffany, a young woman? When Marcus arrived, he happened to hear Ethan scolding Tiffany and immediately shielded her behind him. Tiffany, don't worry. With me here, no one can bully you, Marcus said gently, looking at Tiffany. Tiffany nodded, tears in her eyes, and choked out, Marcus, please don't argue with sister because of me. Tiffany, don't worry. Leave the rest to me. Marcus held Tiffany's hand, his eyes filled with deep affection. After comforting Tiffany, Marcus stood up and walked over to me, angrily saying, If you have any complaints, take them out on me. Don't involve innocent people. Sir, the surveillance footage shows that Miss Tiffany herself spilled the water to frame Vice Song. Someone quickly stepped forward to explain for me, even showing the surveillance footage. After watching the footage, Marcus' face changed repeatedly. Tiffany, how could you do that? After a long pause, Marcus finally managed to utter a sentence. Watching his reaction, my heart felt heavy and a little sore. He was as gentle as a spring breeze with Tiffany, who had blamed me, but he had not a single word of apology for me, who had been wronged. Perhaps he and Tiffany were true love. But it didn't matter anymore. I had completely let go and wished them well. Marcus left the company with the now-fired Tiffany. Ethan felt indebted to me, so he registered a new company in Europe in the quickest time possible, and poured money into promoting our new energy vehicles. Sitting in the boss's chair at the European branch, I had a dreamlike unreality. In just 3 days, I had leaped from vice of the company to the general of the European branch. It was Monday back home in the States. Marcus arrived at the restaurant at the agreed-upon time to celebrate our wedding anniversary, but he held a bouquet of flowers from 8 o'clock in the morning until noon, and my figure never appeared. Marcus watched the people coming and going in the restaurant, growing anxious, and that strange sense of unease welled up in his heart again. He wanted to send me a text message asking what time I would arrive. Text messages. He realized he had blocked me a few days ago. So he unblocked me from his blacklist and typed, "Are you coming or not?" But the message was sent, and he immediately received a prompt. The recipient has enabled friend verification. You are not yet their friend. Please send a friend request first. You can chat once they accept your verification. Marcus was stunned, not expecting that I would dare to delete him. He wanted to get angry but knew there were more important matters at hand. So he temporarily held it in and dialed my phone. "Hello, the user you have dialed is not available. Please try again later." Hearing the automated message from the phone, the unease in Marcus' heart grew even stronger. He rushed home at top speed. Opening the door, he saw that the house was empty. All my belongings had disappeared. None of the matching couple's items that held our shared memories could be found. Where our photos used to be, only empty frames remained. Marcus instantly realized the seriousness of the situation and planned to go out and look for me. It was then that he suddenly realized he had never paid attention to where I liked to go, and had no idea where to even begin looking. Marcus slumped onto the sofa, staring blankly at the empty house. The house was empty, and it seemed his heart had emptied along with it. Just then his phone vibrated. Marcus glanced at it, then turned off the screen. It was Tiffany calling. Ever since he watched the surveillance footage at the company that day, he hadn't known how to face her, so he had simply avoided her. He hadn't expected the seemingly sweet and innocent Tiffany to have such a manipulative side. So, was Grace angry and ignoring him because of Tiffany's provocations? But he could explain. The person he truly wanted to marry had always been Grace. Tiffany was just a fleeting novelty. As he thought this, his phone vibrated again. He thought it was Tiffany's call and was about to silence it when he saw it was his college friend, Dr. Alex, who worked at the hospital, said, "Hello, Marcus. Has your wife come back to the hospital for a follow-up? It's important to have a checkup within 2 weeks after a miscarriage." Miscarriage? When did she have surgery? Why didn't you tell me? When he heard the word miscarriage, his head exploded, and he angrily accused his old friend. "Your wife was in a car accident and lost the baby," Dr. Alex explained. Then he asked, "You didn't know about the car accident? When?" "Grace never told me," Marcus spoke excitedly. "When I tried to tell Marcus about the car accident, he had already blocked me, so he never knew about it from beginning to end." Suddenly, learning about the car accident from Dr. Alex, something flashed through Marcus's mind. "You really didn't know? On the 13th, I think it was the week before last. There was a 3-car pileup and your wife was unconscious when she arrived." Dr. Alex recalled the situation from that day. "Okay, I understand. I'll talk to her later." Marcus hung up the phone looking distraught. The events of these past few days linked together, and he suddenly understood. He understood why she had suddenly called him that day. He also understood why she had changed so drastically afterward and insisted on divorcing him. Marcus pulled up his call history. On the morning of the 13th, he had hung up on Grace 3 times, all to appease and upset Tiffany. He even found her annoying and blocked her, but at that time she was in a car accident. Those 3 calls from her were calls for help. Marcus was filled with regret. If he had answered the phone, would things have turned out differently? How terrified must Grace have been during the accident? What kind of state was she in when she called him for help? Thinking this, Marcus regretfully slapped himself twice. His mind replayed Grace's joyful, excited expression when she first found out she was pregnant. She had been so eager for that child to arrive. Marcus's heart was filled with profound remorse. He had to find Grace. He had to apologize to her in person. Marcus quickly got up, and just as he stepped out, he collided with Tiffany, who had just arrived. "Marcus, where are you going?" Tiffany stopped Marcus, looking at him with tear-filled eyes. "Marcus, do you hate me that much? Do you really not want to see me?" "Tiffany, we'll talk about our situation later. I have something more important to do right now," Marcus replied dismissively, pulled open the car door, and was about to leave to find Grace, but Tiffany wasn't about to give up this hard-won chance to see Marcus. She quickly pulled open the passenger door and sat inside. "Tiffany, stop me. Sing around. I really have something important to do." Marcus, exasperated by Tiffany, couldn't help but yell at her. Tiffany looked at Marcus in surprise, her eyes red. Marcus had always been a gentle, refined gentleman with her. He had never raised his voice or yelled at her. Seeing him like this, Tiffany grew even more anxious, and with a sob she said, "Marcus, what do you really think of me?" Tiffany's tears used to make Marcus feel heartbroken, but now he only felt annoyance. He looked at her tear-stained face and snapped, "I only see you as a sister. Can you please stop clinging to me?" Hearing his words, Tiffany cried even harder, hitting Marcus while sobbing. "You didn't say that before. Stop crying." "It's annoying," Marcus said irritably. "I was just unwilling to be exclusive to one woman my entire life. I would never marry you. Besides, you threw yourself at me. Aren't you just asking to be used?" Marcus spoke self-righteously. Tiffany stared at Marcus dumbfounded, even forgetting to cry. "Marcus, you scoundrel!" Tiffany angrily slapped Marcus, then got out of the car, sobbing, and ran off. Marcus watched Tiffany's retreating figure, annoyedly lit a cigarette, then took out his phone and called every friend he knew, asking if they had been with Grace recently. But after making a round of calls, he found that he hadn't been in contact with anyone lately. Marcus smoked an entire pack of cigarettes and finally decided to go to my company to inquire about the situation. He had already caused a scene at the company before and felt embarrassed to go back, but now he couldn't care less. Marcus drove to the company, but before he could even enter, he was stopped by the security guard. Marcus was now a person of particular interest to the security guard. Marcus was anxious but could only explain, "I'm here to find my wife. Look, this is her. Is she part of your company?" Marcus showed a photo of us. The security guard glanced at it and said, "It's no use letting you in. She hasn't been to the company in days." Marcus returned home distraught. He didn't know where I had gone. He felt despicable. When I loved him, he took advantage of my affection, recklessly inflicting pain and taking advantage. It wasn't until I left, disappointed, that he realized his world couldn't be without me. But it was too late. Marcus searched every place we had ever been together but couldn't find me. He repeatedly dialed my number, but each time he received the not available message. Across the Atlantic in Europe, I came to Europe alone, still adjusting to some of the living habits, but watching the company Ethan invested in grow more complete day by day. This joy dispelled my homesickness. I came to the company full of vigor every day, coordinating various tasks. I never thought about Marcus again. I was too busy with work every day. I was even reading proposals while taking a bath, with no time to think about him. Although this job was tiring, the thought of achieving financial independence, once it was done, filled me with excitement and drive. 1 month later, the branch under my management was starting to take shape. Ethan was very pleased, even praising me at the general meeting. 6 months later, the branch project had established a presence in the industry, and my name was frequently mentioned by industry leaders. I had already achieved half of my goal of financial independence. I occasionally heard friends back home in the States mention Marcus. My friends all said that after I left, he frantically searched for me, harassing every one of my friends trying to find out my whereabouts. They knew I had suffered greatly in that relationship, so they tacitly agreed not to give Marcus my address, but he still managed to find out my address somehow. One day, as I left the company after work, I unexpectedly encountered Marcus waiting outside. "Gracie!" Marcus's eyes lit up when he saw me, and he excitedly took 2 steps forward. I quietly looked at Marcus. In just 6 months he looked considerably more haggard. The charismatic young man he once was now looked like an older man, his eyes full of exhaustion. "Gracie, I finally found you. Will you please listen to what I have to say?" Marcus looked at me cautiously, afraid I might slip away from him again. I nodded and stood still. "I'm sorry, Gracie. I know I was wrong. Dr. Alex called and that's how I found out you were in a car accident. It was my fault. I've broken off everything with Tiffany now. Please forgive me." "Okay." Marcus looked at me nervously. "I've received your apology." After saying that, I walked around Marcus, opened the Bentley's door and got in. Gracie, please forgive me. I can't live without you." In the rearview mirror, Marcus's figure grew smaller and smaller, his voice gradually fading. I took a deep breath, took a mint from the car, and put it in my mouth, suppressing the nausea turning in my stomach. In the past 6 months I had grown and seen many things clearly. Marcus wasn't regretting losing me. He was just regretting losing a convenient partner. His regret was ultimately for himself, not a genuine understanding of his wrongs. He didn't deserve to be forgiven. I hadn't expected Marcus to still be waiting outside the company in a trance the next day. "Gracie, this is breakfast I made myself. It's still warm. Please try some." Marcus eagerly offered me the prepared meal in his hands, looking at me with anticipation. "Sorry, I don't dare eat anything from strangers." I looked at Marcus calmly. "And please, can you stop bothering me from now on? I'm genuinely disgusted by your shameless behavior." I had long seen through his selfish nature. With that, under Marcus' shocked, wounded and bewildered gaze, I walked straight into the company. "From now on, please pay more attention to shady characters around the premises, and don't let them find opportunities to sneak into the company." Upon entering the company, I immediately addressed all staff. Orders were relayed down the chain, and security patrols were intensified. With my instructions, if Marcus was caught loitering near the company, he would be escorted off the premises. Europe wasn't like back home in the States. When people got agitated there, they were quick to resort to violence. So Marcus didn't dare to provoke a confrontation. I had some peace for a while, although I still occasionally saw Marcus loitering suspiciously. As long as he didn't come to harass me, I was fine, but I didn't expect him to find his way to my home. One time, I came home early and was shocked to see Marcus loitering suspiciously near my private house. To people in love, this behavior might be seen as deep affection, but to me it was simply terrifying. Marcus saw me and excitedly ran towards me. This time there was finally no one to stop him. "Can we talk?" Marcus asked nervously. I sighed helplessly. I found a cafe and Marcus and I sat down facing each other. After we each ordered some snacks, Marcus gazed at me with deep affection. "Grace, I truly realize I was wrong," Marcus said urgently. I nodded, waiting for Marcus to continue. "Please forgive me. I really can't live without you. We've been married for 7 years. Can you truly just let go of such a long relationship?" Marcus continued as he spoke with emotion. He reached for my hand, but I recoiled in distaste. Marcus noticed my distaste, and his face fell with a wounded expression. I took a sip of my coffee and said, "I've received your apology. If that's all you wanted to tell me, then you can leave now. If your apology is meant to earn my forgiveness, then I'm sorry. Some mistakes simply aren't forgivable." Marcus's expression changed when he heard my words. "Do we truly have no chance of getting back together? I've changed. I won't ever make you feel wronged again. Please give me one more chance. I promise I won't let you down." Marcus still wouldn't give up. Pressing urgently, he said, "Let's not bring up the past anymore." I looked at Marcus calmly and said slowly. Marcus understood what I meant, and his expression became complicated. Neither of us spoke again. Just as I was about to leave, Marcus stood up, walked over to me and solemnly said, "Grace, I wronged you. The situation I'm in now is entirely my own doing. Go." I didn't use harsh words with Marcus, but I had already made my stance clear. "Can I ask you one last question?" Marcus asked cautiously. "Go ahead," I replied, standing up and carrying my purse, waiting for Marcus to ask his final question. Even though I no longer loved him, he was, after all, the person who had been a part of my entire youth, and I was willing to preserve a sense of dignity for both of us. "If I had answered your phone that day, would things have turned out differently?" Marcus looked at me with a face full of expectation. When I heard Marcus's question, I felt a slight urge to laugh. How could I tell him that his years of disregard and superficiality towards me were the real reason I decided to let go, and that the car accident that day had simply been the final straw? He was truly ridiculously naive. I took a deep breath, meeting Marcus's expectant gaze, and slowly said, "Marcus, grow up." Under his bewildered gaze, I left him with one last sentence. "When you truly understand, you won't ask me questions like this." With that, I left the cafe. Marcus called out behind me, "Grace, I know you don't think highly of me now, but as long as you're not married, I have the right to pursue you." I covered my ears, not wanting to hear Marcus's childish pronouncements. After that day, I never saw Marcus again. Perhaps he went back home. My career steadily advanced, and even the headquarters started looking at me with new respect. I returned to the States to attend the group's company gala. At the company gala, Mr. Ethan said that the branch offices he had opened in each district were initially strategic investments, not expecting them to be profitable, but he hadn't expected me to perform so exceptionally and intended to give me shares in the group. After the company gala, I went home to see my parents. This time I brought a man back with me. His name was Daniel. He was originally my business partner, but as we collaborated, we connected incredibly well and gradually developed feelings beyond our professional relationship. I didn't want to marry early, so I brought him home. My parents were surprised to see I had a boyfriend, but seeing the care and thoughtfulness in Daniel's eyes for me, they were reassured. The day after I got home, it snowed. Daniel stood with me in the yard, holding my hand, and said, "My dear, I heard a story when I was a kid. If two people in love share a snow shower, they'll spend a lifetime together." A year later, Daniel and I returned to the States to prepare for our wedding. Friends back home in the States, upon hearing my wedding announcement, rushed to come over. During our casual chat, I learned that Marcus and Tiffany had already broken up. Tiffany was forcing Marcus to marry her, and when he refused, she became enraged and publicly released private videos of Marcus assaulting her. After learning he was going to prison, he frantically rushed over and punched her 3 times. The last punch sent Tiffany stumbling backward, and she hit her head on a rock, ending up in a vegetative state. These videos quickly circulated in the local group chat, and Marcus instantly became shunned by all, with even his parents being criticized and gossiped about when they went out. Due to multiple crimes, Marcus was reported to the court again by Tiffany, and his case is currently still in trial, but a prison sentence is unavoidable. In retaliation against Tiffany, Marcus also exposed her role as a homewrecker. Just 2 years ago, they were incredibly intimate, like brother and sister. Yet in the end, they tore each other apart. I sighed with regret after hearing this.